Oh boy. This is wild. This is wild. This is wild. I haven't streamed on fucking YouTube in a minute. And this should be, hopefully, this should not be ear rape for you guys. This should not be ear rape for you guys. So, I guess the best way for me to test this would be to incognito. Alright, but that's that, so I'll do this and that. Just waiting. Just waiting for me to check my YouTube. I'm making sure it's not ear rape. Bro, am I really not that found? 48sharks, come on. Come on. There we go. Bro, am I really not that found? 48sharks, come on. Come on. There we go. I'm found. And you're lol. Bro, am I really not that found? 48sharks, come on. Come on. There we go. Damn, is my stream? I'm found. Okay. And you're like, okay. Lol. Okay. Lol. There we go. That's hilarious. Yeah, so it's fucking some VIP angels, man. One in chapter 10. So honestly, I didn't think anybody was actually paying attention to me reading this. I was just doing it because I thought it was cool and fun. And I like it. And that's the whole point of my channel, man. Is that, you know, unfortunately it's not for you guys, it's for me. It's stuff I enjoy. I guess a part of it is for you. There's a lot I want to say to people. There's, you know, a lot I want to get out there. And there's a lot I feel like I could teach people. Man. So, Amo muy chiquitito. Yeah, so I got the new mic now. Not the new mic, though. I got the old mic. Haven't used this mic in 3 years, man. I was using the fucking cable for a printer that I have also not used in 3 years. So I don't know why I haven't been using this mic. I do know it does like ear rape when I first connect it, but it's not doing that now. It's all in ASMR, baby. Look at those lips. Alright. So just going back to double check my stream, but it's not doing that now. It's all in ASMR, baby. It's all in the hips. Look at those lips. Damn. This microphone really, alright, makes me excited and happy that I'm so just going doing back this now, man. Wow. Double check my stream. Wow. Wow. Stuff I enjoy. Look at those lips. Damn. This microphone really, alright, makes me excited and happy that I'm so just going doing this now, man. Wow. Lol. Wow, this microphone is fucking... This is the ultimate. I am the ultimate. I am the one under the sun. The one of the motherfucking son of the gun. All right, here we go. Yeah, because fucking I have I have people that like the shit I do. So wild concept, man. Sign into chat. What is this? What is this? What? What is going on? Oh, because I need to go. Oh my god! Because I've evolved, and I. Oh my god! This is a capability now. I can go live on YouTube. Holy shit! Holy shit! Okay. 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 Oh my god. Okay. I see it. I see it now. Here we go. Pardon me. Pardon me. Uno momento. Oh, ASMR. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, again, so, where is it? So, per the request of, uh, VIP Angels, Chapter 10, um, here it goes. With the new mic. Darkly Dreaming Dexter, Chapter 10. At a lift, at a little after 8 p. Fuck. Do I wear my glasses for this normally? Fuck. I don't know. I don't know. Let me put them on. I don't know if you guys can hear that with this mic. That'd be wild. Because that would prove a point coming up here. Just waiting. Just waiting one second. 1 minute. Waiting for the passers-by to pass by. I'm super paranoid, man. I'm a panic patty. Alright, here we go. Alright, so yeah, like I was saying, VIP Angels, you know, I, it blows my mind. People want me to do this, I'm genuine, I don't do clickbait. I'm not, like, trying to hook you guys or clickbait, but VIP Angels wants me to upload chapter 10, so let's fucking get it. So I will dedicate, I guess, chapter 10 to VIP Angels. So fuck yeah, let's go, let's go. Oh, and also I'm using my new mic again just because I'm recording this time, and I want everybody to know that it wasn't there for the live version. So yeah, here we go. Darkly Dreaming Dexter, Chapter 10. At a little after 8 a.m., LaGuardia came over to where I was sitting on the trunk of my car. She leaned her tailored haunch onto the car and slid over until our thighs were touching. I waited for her to say something, but she didn't seem to have any words for the occasion, neither did I. So I sat there for several minutes looking back at the bridge, feeling the heat of her leg against mine, wondering where my shy friend had gone with this truck. But I was yanked out of my quiet daydream by pressure on my thigh. I looked down at my pants leg. LaGuardia was kneading my thigh as if it were a lump of dough. I looked up at her face, and she looked back. "They found the body," she said. "You know. The rest of it that goes with the head?" I stood up. "Where?" She looked at me the way a cop does at somebody who finds a corpseless heads in the streets. But she answered, "Office Depot Center," she said. Ugh, I fucked that up. "Where the Panthers play?" I asked. And a little icy fingered jolt ran through me. "On the ice?" LaGuardia nodded, still watching me. "The hockey team," she said. "Is that the Panthers?" "I think that's what they're called," I said. I couldn't help myself. She pursed her lips. "They found it stuffed into a goalie's net." "Visitors or home?" I asked. She blinked. "Does that make a difference?" I shook my head. "Just a joke, detective." "Because I know how to tell the difference. I should get somebody there who knows about hockey," she said, her eyes finally drifting away from me and across the crowd, searching for somebody carrying a puck. "I'm glad you can make a joke about it," she added. "What's a..." She frowned, trying to remember. Samboli?" "A what?" She shrugged. "Some kind of machine. They used it on the ice? A Zamboni?" "Whatever. The guy who drives it, he takes it on the ice to get ready for the practice this morning. A couple of the players, they like to get there early, and they like the ice fresh. So this guy, she hesitated slightly. The Simboli driver, he comes in early on practice days, so he drives this thing out onto the ice, and he sees these packages stacked up down there on the goalie's net. So he gets down there and he takes a look." She shrugged again. "Dokes is over there now. He says they can't get the guy to calm down enough to say more than that." "I know a little about hockey," I said. She looked at me again with somewhat heavy eyes. "So much I don't know about you, Dexter. You play hockey?" "No, I never played," I said modestly. "I went to a few games." She didn't say anything, and I had to bite my lip to keep from blathering on. In truth, Rita had season tickets for the Florida Panthers, and I had found, to my very great surprise, that I had liked hockey. It was not merely the frantic, cheerful, homicidal mayhem that I enjoyed. There was something about this sitting in the huge, cool hall that I found relaxing, and I would happily have gone there, even to watch golf. In truth, I would have said anything to make LaGuardia take me to the rink. I wanted to go to the arena very badly. I wanted to see this body stacked on the net, on the ice, more than anything else that I could think of. Wanted to undo the neat wrapping and see the clean, dry, fresh flesh. I wanted to see it so much that I felt like a cartoon of a dog on point. Wanted to be there with it so much that I felt self-righteous and possessive about the body. "All right," LaGuardia finally said, when I was about to vibrate out of my skin, and she showed a small, strange smile that was part official and part... what? Something else altogether. Something human, unfortunately, putting it beyond my understanding. "Give us a chance to talk." "I'd like that very much," I said, absolutely oozing charm. LaGuardia didn't respond. Maybe she didn't hear me. Not that it mattered. She was totally beyond any sense of sarcasm where her self-image was concerned. It was possible to hit her with the most horrible flattery in the world, and she would accept it as her due. I didn't really enjoy flattering her. There's no fun where there's no challenge. But I didn't know what else to say. What did she imagine what we would talk about? She had already grilled me mercilessly when she first arrived on the scene. We stood beside my poor dented car and watched the sun come up. She had looked out across the causeway and asked me 7 times if I had seen the driver of the truck, each time with a slightly different inflection, frowning in between questions. She had asked me 5 times if I was sure it had been a refrigerated truck. I'm sure that was subtly on her part. She wanted to ask about that one a lot more, but held back to avoid being obvious. She even forgot herself once and asked in Spanish. I told her I was seguro, and she had to look at me and touch my arm, but she did not ask again. And 3 times she had pushed up again. She had looked up the incline of the bridge, shaken her head, and spat puta under her breath. Clearly, that was a reference to Officer Puta, my dear sister Deborah. In the face of an actual refrigerator truck, as predicted by Deborah, a certain amount of spin control was going to be necessary, and I could tell by the way LaGuardia nibbled at the lower lip that she was hard at work on the problem. I was quite sure she would come up with something uncomfortable for Deb. It was what she did best, but for the time being, I was hoping for a modest rise in my sister's stock. Not with LaGuardia, of course, but one could only hope that others might notice that her brilliant bit of attempted detective work had panned out. Oddly enough, LaGuardia did not ask me what I had been doing driving around at that hour. Of course, I'm not a detective. But it didn't seem like a rather obvious question. Perhaps it would be so unkind to say that the oversight was typical of her, but there it is. She just didn't ask. And yet, there was more for us to talk about, apparently. So I followed her to her car, her 2-year-old light blue Chevrolet that drove by on duty. After hours, she had a little BMW that nobody was supposed to know about. "Get in," she said, and I climbed into the neat blue front seat. LaGuardia drove fast, in and out of Miami traffic, and in very few minutes we were over the causeway to the Miami side again, across Biscayne and half a mile or so, over the causeway, the Miami side again, to 95. She drove onto the freeway and wove north through traffic at speeds that seemed a little even much for Miami. But we've got to 595 and turned west. She looked at me sideways out of the corner of her eye 3 times before she finally spoke. "That's a nice shirt," she said. I glanced down at my nice shirt. I had thrown it on to chase out my apartment and saw it now for the first time. A polyester bowling shirt with bright red dragons on it. I had worn it all day at work, and it was a trifle ripe, but yes, more or less clean looking. Somewhat nice, of course, but still. Was LaGuardia making small talk so I would relax enough to make some damaging admission? Did she suspect that I knew more than I was saying and think she could get me to drop my guard and say it? "You always wear such nice clothes, Dexter," she said. She looked over at me with a huge, goofy smile, unaware that she was about to ram her car into a tanker truck. She looked back in time and turned the wheel with one finger, and we slid around the tanker and west on I-595. I thought about the nice clothes that I always wore. Well, of course I did. I took pride in being the best-dressed monster in Dade County. Yes, certainly. He chopped up that nice Mr. Duarte. But he was so well dressed, proper clothed for all occasions. By the way, what did one wear to attend to an early morning decapitation? A day-old bowling shirt and slacks? Naturally. I was a la mode. But aside from this morning's hasty costume, I was really careful. It was one of Harry's lessons. Stay neat, dress nicely, avoid attention. But why should a politically minded homicide detective either notice or care? It was not as if... Or was it? A nasty idea began to grow. Something in the strange smile that flicked across her face and then away gave me the answer. It was ridiculous, but what else could it be? LaGuardia was not looking for a way to put me off my guard and ask me more penetrating questions about what I had seen. And she did not truly give a winged fart about my hockey expertise. LaGuardia was being social. She liked me. Here I was, still trying to recover from the horrible shock of my bizarre, lurching, slobbering, attacking on Rita. And now this? LaGuardia liked me? Had terrorists dumped something in the Miami water supply? Was I exuding some kind of strange pheromone? Had every woman in Miami suddenly realized how hopeless real men are? And I had become attractive by default? What? In all very seriousness, what the hell is going on? Of course, I could be wrong. I lunged at the thought like a barracuda at a shiny silver spoon. After all, what colossal egotism to think that a polished, sophisticated, career track woman like LaGuardia might show any kind of interest in me. Wasn't it more likely that what? As unfortunate as it was, it did not make any kind of sense. We were in the same kind of line of work, and therefore, conventional cop wisdom said, more likely to understand and forgive each other. Our relationship could survive her cop hours and stressful lifestyle. And although I take no credit for it, I am presentable enough. I clean up good, as we natives like to say. And I had put myself out to be charming to her for several years now. It had been purely political schmoozing, but she did not have to know that. I was good at being charming, one of my very few vanities. I had studied hard and practiced long, and when I applied myself, no one could tell I was faking it. I was really very good at sprinkling seeds of charm. Perhaps it was natural the seeds would eventually sprout. But sprout into this? What now? Was she going to propose a quiet dinner some evening? Or a few hours of sweaty bliss at the Cacique Motel? Happily, we arrived at the arena just before the panic overtook me completely. LaGuardia circled the building once, looking for the correct entrance. It wasn't too hard to find. A cluster of police cars stood scattered around outside one row of double doors. She nosed her big car in among them. I jumped out of the car quickly before she could put her hand on my knee. She got out and looked at me. For a moment, her mouth twitched. "I'll take a look," I said. I did not quite run into the arena. I was fleeing LaGuardia, yes, but I was also very anxious to get inside, to see what my playful friend had done, to be near his work, to inhale the wonder, to learn. The inside echoed with the organized bedlam typical of any murder scene, and yet it seemed to me that there was a special electricity in the air, a slightly hushed, yet feeling of excitement that, fuck me. Right now is when I would cancel the entire podcast, but fuck that. The inside echoed with the organized bedlam typical of any murder scene, and yet it seemed to me that it was special, that there was oh my god, why can I not read that right? The inside echoed with the organized bedlam typical of any murder scene, and yet it seemed to me that there was a special electricity in the air, a slightly hushed, yet, oh my god, bro, this is live, I'm dead. We strive for perfection. The inside echoed with the organized bedlam typical of any murder scene, and yet it seemed to me that there was a special electricity in the air, a slight hushed sense that this one was different somehow, and that new and wonderful things might happen because we were out here on the cutting edge. But maybe that was just me. A clot of people stood around the nearby net. Several of them wore Broward uniforms. They had their arms folded and watched as Captain Matthews argued about jurisdiction with a man in a tailored suit. As I got closer, I saw Engel, no relation, in an unusual position, standing above a balding man who was one of the knee poking at a stack of carefully wrapped packages. I stopped at the railing to look through the glass. There it was, only 10 feet away. It looked so perfect in the cold purity of the new Zambonied hockey rink. Any jeweler will tell you that finding the right setting is vitally important, and this, it was stunning, absolutely perfect, as if I might simply pass straight down through the hardwood like a mist. Even from the railing I could tell he had taken the time. He had done it right, in spite of what must have seemed like a very close call on the causeway only minutes before. Or had he known somehow that it meant him no harm? And since I brought it up anyway, did I in fact mean him no harm? Did I truly mean to track him to his lair and come up on point, all a quiver for advancing Dibbert's career? Of course, that was what I thought I was doing. But would I be strong enough to carry through with the things if they kept getting so interesting? Here we were at the hockey rink, where I had whiled away many pleasant and contemplative hours. Wasn't this even more proof that this artist, killer, of course, was moving on a track parallel to mine? Just look at the lovely work he had done here. And the head. That was the key. Surely it was too important as a piece of what he was doing simply to leave behind. He had thrown it to frighten me, send me into paroxysms of terror, horror, and dread. Or had he known somehow that I felt the way that he did? Could he too feel the connection between us? And he just wanted to be playful. Could he too feel the connection between us? And he, for leaving me such a trophy, I was experiencing powerful, dizzying sensations. How could he be feeling nothing? LaGuardia came up beside me. "You're in such a hurry," she said, a slight edge of complaint in her voice. "Are you afraid he'll get away?" She nodded at the stacked body parts. I knew that somewhere inside me was a clever answer, something that would make her smile, charm a little more, smooth over my awkward run from her clutches. But standing there at the rail, looking down at the body on the ice in the goalie's net, in the presence of greatness, one might say, no wit came out. I did not manage to yell at her to shut up, but it was a very near thing. "I had to see," I said truthfully, and then recovered enough to add, "It's the home team's net." She slapped my arm playfully. "You're awful," she said. Luckily, Sergeant Dokes came over to us, and the detective didn't have time for a kittenish giggle, which would have been more than I could take. As always, Dokes seemed more interested in finding a way to get a good grip on my ribs and pull open anything else, and he gave me such a warm and penetrating look of welcome that I faded quickly away and left him to LaGuardia. He stared after me, watching me with an expression that I had to be guilty of something, and he would very much like to examine my entrails to find out what. I'm sure he would have been happier someplace where the police were permitted to break the occasional tibia or femur. I circled away from him, moving slowly away the rink to the nearest place where I could get in. I just found it when something came out, when something came at me blindside and hit me rather hard in the ribs. I straightened up to face my assailant with a certain bruise and a strained smile. "Hello, dear sister," I said. "So nice to see a friendly face." "Bastard," she hissed at me. "Quite probably," I said. "But why bring it up now?" "Because, you miserable son of a bitch. You had a lead and you didn't call me?" "A lead?" I almost stuttered. "What makes you think—" "Cut the crap, Dexter," Deborah snarled. "You weren't driving around at 4 a.m. looking for hookers. You know where he was, goddammit." Light dawned. I'd been so wrapped up in my own problems, starting with the dream, and the fact that it had obviously been something more than that, and continuing on through my nightmarish encounter with Guerda, that it did not occur to me that I had wronged Deborah. I had not shared. Of course she would be angry. "Not a lead, Deborah," I said, trying to soothe her feelings a bit. "Nothing solid like that, just a feeling, a thought. That's all. It was really nothing." She shoved again. "Except that it was something," she snarled. "You found him." "Actually, I'm not sure," I said. "I think he found me." "Quit being clever," she said, and I spread my hands to show how impossible that would be. "You promised, goddamn you." I did not remember making any kind of promise that might cover calling her in the middle of the night and telling her my dreams, but this didn't seem like a very political thing to say, so I didn't. "I'm sorry, Deb," I said instead. "I really didn't think it would pan out. It was just a hunch, really. I was certainly not going to attempt any explanation of the parapsychology involved, even with Deb, or perhaps especially not with her. But another thought hit me. I lowered my voice. "Maybe you could help me a little. What am I supposed to tell them if they ever decided to ask what I was doing driving around here at 4 a.m.? Has Lagorda interviewed yet?" Exhaustively, I said, fighting down a shudder. Deb made a disgusted face, and she didn't ask. It was not a question. "I'm sure the detective has a great deal on her mind," I said. I did not add that apparently some of it was me, but sooner or later somebody will ask. I looked over to her, where she was directing the operation. "Probably Sergeant Dokes," I said with real dread. She nodded. "He's a decent cop. If he could just lose some attitude." "Attitude may be all he is," I said. "But it doesn't seem like me for some reason he'll ask anything if he thinks it'll make me squirm." "So tell him the truth," Deborah said, deadpan. "But first tell it to me, and then poke me again in the same spot." "Please, Deb," I said. "You know how easily I bruise." "I don't know," she said, "but I like finding out." "It won't happen again," I promised. "It was just one of those 3 a.m. inspirations, Deborah. What would I have said if I had called you out about it and then it turned out to be nothing?" "But it didn't. It turned out to be something," she said with another push. "I really didn't think it would. And I would have felt stupid dragging you into it." "Imagine how I would have felt if he had killed you," she said. It took me by surprise. I couldn't even begin to imagine how she would have felt. Regret? Disappointment? Anger? That sort of thing is way beyond me, I'm afraid. So I just repeated, "I'm sorry, Deb." And then, because I'm the kind of cheerful Pollyanna who always finds the bright side, I added, "But at least the refrigerated truck was there." She blinked at me. "The truck was there?" she said. "Oh, Deb," I said, "they didn't tell you?" She hit me even harder in the same place. "God damn it, Dexter," she hissed. "What about the truck?" "It was there, Deb," I said, somewhat embarrassed by her nakedly emotional reaction, and also, of course, by the fact that a good-looking woman was beating the crap out of me. He was driving a refrigerated truck. When he threw the head, she grabbed me by my arms and stared at me. "The fuck you say?" she finally said. "The fuck I do." "Jesus," she said, staring off into space, and no doubt seeing her promotion floating there somewhere above my head. And she was probably going on, but at that moment, Angel No Relation lifted his voice over the echoing din of the arena. "Detective," he called out, looking over at LaGuardia. It was a strange, unconscious sound, the half-strangled cry of a man who never makes loud noises in public, and something about it brought an instant quiet to the room. The tone was all a part shock and part triumph. I found something important, but oh my god. All eyes turned to Angel, and he nodded down at the crouching bald man who was slowly, carefully removing something from the top package. The man finally pulled the thing out, fumbled and dropped it, and it skittered across the ice. He reached for it, and it slipped, sliding after the brightly gleaming thing from the package until they both came to rest against the boards. Hands shaking, Angel grabbed for it, got it, and held it up to all of us to see. The sudden quiet in the building was awe-inspiring, breathtaking, beautiful. Like the overwhelming crash of applause at an unveiling of any work of genius. It was in the rearview mirror from the truck. It was the rearview mirror from the truck. Yeah, fuck me. Yeah, there's a live stream of Dexter.